In this video, I want to talk to you about understanding the advantages of going gluten-free, and I also want to give you some helpful suggestions on how to stick to your gluten-free diet, as well as covering some simple tips on reading and understanding labels without shopping. That's rather a lot to cover, so let's get started. Oh, if you like the video and the content, please give it a like or subscribe to my channel. For a great resource on living gluten-free, click the link in the description. Hi, I'm Mike Hines from justnogluten.com. Back in the 50s and 60s, people didn't have the health concerns that they are now facing. And people are now asking why that is. Technology has moved on, research has been done, and cures have been found. So why are we a sicker population now than we were 50 or 60 years ago? The answer might surprise you, but if you think about things for a minute, you'll see it's not as surprising as you may think. We are now living in a money-hungry society. Whether we mean to be that way or not, the sad truth is we are, and it will probably continue for years to come. We seem to need money to be happy, and happiness is everything in life. With this need for money and happiness, it comes at a price that we must pay, and that is the price is very high when it comes to our health problems. Is that price worth it? Where your health is concerned, the answer is most definitely no. Farmers need more crops to not only accommodate the growth in the world's population, but also to satisfy their wallets and possibly their bank managers. Consumers are the ones paying the price for the farmers' ambitions. While that's unfortunate, it's the sad truth. But if we do what we need to do, we can overcome these problems. Gluten allergies and sensitivities are two of the problems that's on the rise, and the reason is because farmers are using chemicals and other things to increase the number of crops they can produce in one season. This allows them to make their crops grow bigger and faster, so they can produce a double or maybe even triple what they used to do in the 50s and 60s. Of course, that gives them more products to sell and more money for their product. These chemicals are changing the product they're producing, which makes it more difficult for our bodies to digest. They're also creating foods that have preservatives in them so they'll last longer or have the ability to sit on a shelf instead of in the fridge. The ingredients needed to produce the preservatives include gluten, which causes problems for people that have a gluten intolerance, or worse still, have a celiac disease. Eliminating gluten from the diet has proved over and over to be the best thing people can do when they have issues with their gut. It is also believed to help children with autism and other illnesses. I have mentioned this in a previous video. You can view it on my channel on YouTube. Eliminating foods with gluten has helped people with immune system problems as well as those with stomach and intestinal issues. When you remove these problems from your life, you'll feel much better. You'll have tons more energy and the desire to live a happy life. Once you realize that gluten was the problem, eliminating it won't be the hardest thing to do, because you'll understand that to continue eating those foods will bring on the pain and frustration that you don't need in your life. Changing the way you eat and sticking to a gluten-free diet is not going to be the easiest thing to do in the world. Nobody said it was, but it's one of the most important things you need to do. It's going to be hard to change the foods you eat and eat foods that you wouldn't normally even look at. Because this is going to be hard to do, it is important to stick with it and maybe find a friend or a family member to help you through the difficult times. The first thing you need to remember when you're trying to change to a gluten-free diet is to realize that there is no cure for celiac disease. And there is no point in fretting or worrying about what others think about it. Do what you need to do to make it work for you, and just do it. People will say what they want to say, and there's nothing you can do to change that. But it's important not to let that bother you. Learning all you can about eating gluten-free is going to be very important. There's nothing worse than going to a restaurant with your friends and not knowing what you can eat. This kind of research will come in very handy when you're trying to find foods you can eat. There will be times when you have to say no to eating out simply because the restaurant chosen just does not cater for people on a gluten-free diet. The important thing to remember, it's not the end of the world for you. Next time, why don't you choose the restaurant and then find a place that will offer something for people on a gluten-free diet. No need to get upset or frustrated when this happens. This is something I've mentioned in previous videos. Always read the labels. Failing to read the labels is a quick way to find out what the consequences are. Make the most of your new lifestyle change. Don't look at this as a bad thing. Don't look at it like it's the end of the world. And don't look as if everyone is going to make fun of you. While this can possibly happen, it's not the worst thing in the world. Who cares what other people think of your lifestyle change? After all, they're not the one that's in pain or sick all the time. Lifestyle changes can always be difficult to handle, but if you remember why, keep in mind the reason why you choose to eat gluten-free foods. When you follow these suggestions, the difficult times or the times you think will be difficult won't be nearly as bad, and you'll be able to get through them like they were nothing at all. I mentioned reading labels a moment ago, and when you're shopping for gluten-free products, it can be an even bigger challenge. All your gluten-free foods are not necessarily going to be in the same section. One of the most important things to do when you're looking for gluten-free items is to always read the labels. You can't just assume a product doesn't have gluten, because more and more products them do or could potentially have gluten. It's never a good idea to go food shopping, make your purchase and not even look at the label. Something else to remember, you may think a product is gluten-free because you read the label, but that may not always be the case. Manufacturers can change, and often do, the ingredients or the way they make it, and they don't necessarily have to tell you or make it known on the packaging that something has changed. That's why in every video I always emphasize, do read the label every time. It's also important to know what to look for when reading labels. Just because the labels say it's free of wheat doesn't necessarily mean it's gluten-free. Gluten can also be found in rye and barley, so it's important to look for those ingredients as well. Might be a good idea to make a list you can print out that contains all the ingredients that you can't have, so you're safe when making a purchase. Trusting the label and the manufacturer is not always a sensible thing to do. Unless that manufacturer only manufactures gluten-free foods, it's not a good idea to put your full trust in them. Let's face it, they don't always know everything there is to know about gluten-free eating. What they may consider to be gluten-free may not actually be gluten-free. As I said earlier, some people think gluten-free is only about wheat, but that's not exactly true. Since gluten can also be found in rye and barley, it's important to look for these items too, because they are usually missed on the label. Reading labels isn't always going to be easy, since they have scientific names for certain ingredients, and manufacturers don't always like to disclose their ingredients. If you have any doubt at all, about the ingredients in the product, contact the manufacturer. Explain to them that you must have gluten-free products and you'd like to purchase some of their products, but you can't because you're unsure of the ingredients. They may be willing to tell you what's in them. Do remember, when food shopping, reading the labels on gluten-free products is a must if you are on a gluten-free diet. It's important for your health to read the labels and make sure what you're purchasing is safe for you to eat. It's just not worth the risk in case you eat something that has gluten in it. So I'm going to repeat it. Do take your time to read the labels. Hope you enjoyed the content in this video and it was helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. See you soon. Bye-bye for now.